Okay. All right, so today we're going to work on helping these two guys stay out of the kitchen when food is being prepared. And unlike people, it's much easier for dogs to learn how to do context-dependent behavior, meaning that it is easier for them to learn to stay out of the kitchen specifically when food is being prepared or if someone's eating at the dining room table than it is to stay out of the kitchen all the time. So it's actually easier to teach them this behavior than if we were to try to teach them to always be out of the kitchen. The reason why this is important is because, as we can see over here, they have their food bowl and water bowl in here. This is also the door for them to go outside, and this is all in the kitchen area. And this won't prevent them from knowing that they can go to the door to go out, that they can come in and get water, as long as it's not the time when the guardian is preparing food or sitting down at the dining room table to eat dinner. So what we want to do is make this context dependent. So we're going to just kind of mimic the situation. When trying to do dog training, it's best to go through dry runs when you're not actually trying to cook, because this would be more challenging when you have time-sensitive things going on, like you're in the middle of preparing the meal and the dogs are not listening to the invisible boundary and you have to disagree with them. You don't have to worry about your food burning on the stove. So it's good to kind of prepare them and get them training without actually having food out until they're starting to be so well behaved that you feel comfortable actually making meals while they're going through this training process. So we're going to use the escalating consequences to disagree with them when they cross the invisible boundary. The invisible boundary will be in two locations. We have one right here, which is the doorway. We can see kind of where the carpet goes to tile or linoleum, and that will be one boundary, and then the other doorway, which is over here, and same exact concept. So the dogs can go anywhere they want as long as they don't cross the threshold at boundary 1 or boundary 2 over here. The kitty can stay in here because we don't train kitty cats. All right, so we're gonna have the guardian go over and just start grabbing a pot or pan, and then as soon as you do that, that's gonna be the trigger to teach them that this is now context dependent and they're gonna come out of the kitchen. So go ahead and disagree with them and move them out, good. And I also wanna remind you that when working with one dog or more than one dog, you wanna pick one dog, move it out of the room, and then go to the other dog. Good. Excellent. Keep walking. There we go. Now, we did do this one time beforehand, so this is a second run through, so they do have a good concept of what this means compared to this being the very first time. Other things I want to remind you for in the video, so you can listen to this later. Different things will be a trigger. So for example, if we're taking food out of the refrigerator right now, and that could be a big trigger for them to come forward. Another thing that could be a big trigger is hearing specific things like the guardian gives them cheese as dog treats, which is completely fine. However, it does mean that when they hear the wrapper for cheese and things like that, it might trigger them to jump forward and come forward because they're used to that being a treat. So these are all great ways to kind of test how well they're going to be doing. And as you can see, when paws are across the threshold but they're in the down position, I'm not too worried about it. And that's what you can see with Nutmeg here. So her paws are across the boundary and Bullett's fully behind the boundary. If they were standing up, you would want to disagree with them and move them back. However, when they're laying down and they're being really well behaved like this and their paws cross the boundary, it's not a big deal. Go ahead and let them stay in that position. So the guardian's just making different noises and mimicking what it would be like if she really was cooking, and you can see that they're doing quite well. What I'm going to do is just back up towards where she's making the food to see if I'm possibly also helping to reinforce them staying in this position by being this close to them. Do you have any deli meat or anything that would have a stronger smell? Why don't you, if you do, go ahead and put, here we go. Perfect. Now just move them back. Good. Excellent. So what I want you to do is put a piece of deli meat on like a plate and just put it in the microwave for like 20 seconds. It'll create a stronger smell, which is going to be more likely to entice them to get up and move forward or try to cross the boundary. Your roommate's here?
Yeah.
Disagree with him? Perfect. Good. Excellent. Go ahead and take it out. And now what I want you to do is try sitting down at the table. You may want to pick the kitty up so he doesn't try to eat your food. I mean, you don't actually have to eat it, but just that way it has, oh, there you go. Move her back. Good. And then he's pretty close, but he's being okay. I would say he would be okay. Now try to see if he can sit down. Excellent. Good. Perfect. Very good. So this is how you'll teach them to respect invisible boundaries and how you'll establish boundaries. And again, I just want to reiterate that you can set these boundaries anywhere in the home. You don't have to just do this in the kitchen. So this is a great way to train them to respect different spaces. You can do this by the front door and use this to help them not intrude upon guests' space when they first come in. So you can use the same exact method in multiple ways.